Cole Turner never thought much about destiny. He believed in hard work, honest handshakes, and keeping promises. His ranch stretched across Montana like a quiet kingdom, where mountains touched clouds and wind whispered through tall grass. People called him a millionaire cowboy, but Cole just saw himself as a man taking care of land his father left behind. Money didn't define him. The ranch did. The horses did. The simple rhythm of sunrise and sunset did. That February night, snow fell heavier than forecasters predicted. Cole was driving home from a business meeting in the city, the kind of obligation he hated but couldn't avoid. His truck cut through darkness on the empty highway, headlights catching snowflakes that danced like tiny ghosts. He wanted nothing more than his warm bed and the familiar smell of hay and leather. Then he saw her. A small bus station glowed faintly beside the road, its yellow light flickering against the storm. On a wooden bench sat a figure so still she might have been a statue. Cole slowed his truck, squinting through the windshield. Something pulled at his chest, a feeling he couldn't ignore. He turned into the gravel lot and stepped out into cold that bit straight through his jacket. The woman wore scrubs under a thin coat that barely closed. Her hands were tucked under her arms, her shoulders hunched against wind that showed no mercy. Snow gathered in her dark hair. She looked up as Cole approached, eyes wide with surprise and caution. "Evening, ma'am," Cole said gently, stopping a respectful distance away. "You all right out here?" Quote. Her lips trembled when she tried to speak. "I'm waiting for the bus. I think I missed it." Quote. Cole glanced at the empty road, then back at her pale face. "How long you been sitting here?" Quote. "Maybe an hour," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. An hour in this cold could be dangerous. Cole didn't hesitate. He shrugged off his heavy ranch coat and held it out. "Please take this." "No, I can't," she started. "You need it more than I do," he said simply, his tone leaving no room for argument but also no pressure. Just kindness. She accepted it slowly, pulling the warm fabric around her shoulders. Relief washed over her face. "Thank you. I'm Amina." Cole Turner, he studied the bus schedule posted on the station wall, already knowing what he'd find. "Next bus isn't until morning." "I'll wait," Amina said, though her voice lacked conviction. "Not in this weather." Cole's words were firm but gentle. "Let me drive you to town. There's a hotel where you can rest properly." Amina hesitated, studying his face. Life had taught her to be careful with strangers. But something in Cole's steady gaze, in the honest simplicity of his offer, made her feel safe in a way she hadn't expected. "Why are you helping me?" she asked quietly. "Because it's the right thing to do," he answered, "and because I'd hoped someone would do the same for me." No fancy words, no expectations, just truth. Amina nodded slowly. "Okay, thank you." Cole picked up her small bag and led her to his truck. Inside, warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. He handed her a bottle of water from behind his seat. "Drink some. It'll help." Quote. As Cole drove through the snow-covered night, silence settled between them, comfortable and real. Amina sipped the water, feeling life return to her frozen fingers. She watched Cole's profile in the dashboard light, his calm presence filling the truck. "You said you're a nurse?" Cole asked after a while. "Yes. Just finished a double shift at County Hospital." Amina smiled tiredly. "Ran straight here and still missed the bus." "Long days?" Quote. "Very long," she admitted, "but I love what I do. Helping people feels right." Cole nodded. "I understand that. I feel the same about my ranch. Hard work, but it means something." They talked about their lives in small pieces. Amina learned Cole ran his family ranch alone after his father passed. Cole learned Amina became a nurse after caring for her grandmother through illness. Neither mentioned wealth or status. Those things didn't matter in the warm truck while snow painted the world white outside. When they reached town, Cole pulled up to a small hotel. Inside, the receptionist recognized him immediately, her face lighting up with respect. Amina noticed but said nothing. Cole simply arranged a room for her, his manner unchanged despite the recognition. At the room door, Amina returned his coat. "I don't know how to thank you properly." "You already did." Cole pulled a small notepad from his pocket and wrote his number. "If you ever need anything or just want to talk, call me." Amina took the paper with both hands, touched by his sincerity. "Good night, Cole." "Good night, Amina." She watched from the window as he walked back into the storm. Something warm bloomed in her chest, something she couldn't name. She knew, somehow, that this night would change everything. Cole felt it too, driving home through snow that fell like blessings. The image of Amina's grateful smile stayed with him, warming him more than any coat could. He didn't know what had started between them, but he felt its gentle pull like the first sign of spring after a long winter. What neither of them knew was that everyone around them would soon notice the change. The next morning, Amina learned Cole had returned to the hotel late that night to ensure her room was warm enough. He'd told the staff to treat her like family and covered her breakfast. He hadn't mentioned any of it to her. That quiet generosity made her heart flutter in ways she didn't expect. On the bus to her sister's house, Amina couldn't stop thinking about him. His steady voice, his gentle respect, the way he helped without making her feel small or indebted. By the time she arrived, her sister Mira noticed immediately. "You're glowing," Mira said, pouring tea. "What happened?" Quote. Amina told her everything. About the freezing station, Cole's coat, his kindness that felt pure and simple. "Do you like him?" Mira asked with knowing eyes. "I barely know him," Amina whispered. But her heart whispered something different. She couldn't stop thinking about Cole Turner. Back at the ranch, Cole worked from dawn until dusk, trying to focus on horses and fences and winter preparations. But his mind kept drifting to the nurse with tired eyes and a beautiful smile. He wondered if she'd made it safely to her sisters, if she'd slept well, if she'd ever call. He told himself not to expect anything. People crossed paths briefly all the time. But something about Amina had touched a part of him he thought had closed after years of solitude. 2 days passed like slow river water. Cole didn't call, respecting Amina's space. Amina stared at his number 100 times but couldn't gather courage to dial. "Call him because you want to," Mira finally said Sunday evening. "Not because you owe him. Because your heart wants to." That simple truth broke through Amina's hesitation. She pressed call before she could change her mind. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Hello?" Cole's warm voice filled her ear. "Hi, Cole. It's Amina." She heard the smile in his voice. "Amina, are you safe?" Quote. His first concern was her safety, not why she called, not what she wanted, just her well-being. Tears pricked her eyes. "Yes, I'm with my sister. I just wanted to thank you again." Quote. "You already did," he said gently. "I know, but I wanted to talk to you." Silence hummed between them, full of meaning. "Well, I'm here," Cole said softly. They talked for over an hour about everything and nothing. Ranch life and hospital chaos. Childhood memories and quiet dreams. When they finally said goodbye, both felt lighter, as if something heavy had lifted from their shoulders. If you're moved by their connection, hit that like button and stay with us. Over the following weeks, they talked every day. Morning calls before work. Evening conversations that stretched past midnight. Their voices became familiar, essential even. Amina learned Cole took over the ranch at 20 when his father died, shouldering responsibility most men couldn't handle. She admired his strength. Cole learned Amina worked double shifts regularly because the hospital was understaffed, never complaining, always caring. He admired her compassion more than words could express. "Would you like to visit the ranch?" Cole asked one evening, his voice hopeful but careful. Amina's heart raced. "Yes, I'd like that very much." Quote. When Cole picked her up the following Saturday, Amina wore a warm scarf and a shy smile that made his chest tight. The drive to the ranch felt like coming home. Snow still blanketed the fields, making everything look peaceful and clean. The ranch took Amina's breath away. Horses grazed in white fields. The old barn stood strong against mountains that touched the sky. Everything felt honest and real, like stepping into a simpler, better world. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's home," Cole said, watching her face light up. They walked the property together. Cole showed her the horses, taught her how to brush their manes. Amina laughed when a young mare nuzzled her shoulder, looking for treats. Cole's heart swelled at the sound of her laughter. It filled spaces inside him he didn't know were empty. Inside his simple house, Amina noticed photos on the shelves. Cole as a boy with his parents. Cole beside his father during a cattle drive. "He taught me everything," Cole said quietly. "Hard work, honesty, treating people right." Quote, "He'd be proud of you," Amina said, her voice warm. They sat at his kitchen table drinking tea while sunset painted the windows gold and pink. The silence between them felt comfortable, like they'd known each other for years instead of weeks. "This place feels peaceful," Amina murmured. "It gets lonely sometimes," Cole admitted, "but it heals you too." Quote, Amina understood loneliness. She'd felt it in crowded hospital halls, surrounded by people but still alone. But sitting here with Cole, she felt something different. She felt seen, understood, safe. As weeks turned into months, their connection deepened naturally. Cole drove to the city to pick her up after long shifts so she wouldn't walk home exhausted. Amina visited the ranch on weekends, helping with small tasks, learning about ranch life. Their different worlds blended beautifully. One night, after a particularly brutal hospital shift, Amina stepped outside to find Cole leaning against his truck, waiting with a gentle smile. "What are you doing here?" she asked, shocked. "You sounded tired earlier." "Thought I'd drive you home." Quote, "You drove an hour just for that?" Quote, "An hour isn't far," he said simply. "Not for someone important." Tears filled Amina's eyes, not from sadness but from overwhelming gratitude. Someone cared for her without expecting anything in return. The realization felt like sunrise after endless night. People around them began noticing changes. Mira teased Amina about her constant smiling. Ranch hands joked with Cole about the new light in his eyes. Walter, the ranch manager, cornered Amina one afternoon. "You've changed this place, young lady," he said warmly. "When the boss is happy, the whole ranch feels it." Quote, Amina blushed but couldn't deny the truth. She'd found something rare with Cole, something real and lasting. One spring evening, Cole and Amina walked near the old barn. Fresh grass pushed through melting snow. The air smelled clean and new. Cole stopped walking and turned to her, his expression serious. "Amina," he said quietly, "I don't know where life will take us, but I want you in mine, however long you'll stay." Quote, Amina's heart soared. She stepped closer, her eyes shining. "I want that too." Quote, Cole smiled, tender and true. "You came into my life on the coldest night of winter. Somehow you warmed everything." "You warmed my life too," she whispered. The wind carried the scent of wildflowers beginning to bloom. Horses called to each other in distant fields. Everything felt right, like pieces of a puzzle finally fitting together. Share this story if you believe in unexpected love. Months passed like chapters in a beautiful book. Cole and Amina built a life together slowly, carefully, with deep respect and growing love. She moved to the ranch by autumn, her nursing skills valuable in the rural community. Cole built her a small office where she could see patients who couldn't reach the distant hospital. Their love became legend in the small towns around them. People told the story of the millionaire cowboy who stopped for a freezing nurse, how one act of kindness changed 2 lives forever. But those who knew them best understood the deeper truth. It wasn't just kindness that brought them together. It was recognition. 2 lonely souls finding comfort in each other's honesty. 2 hearts choosing to care gently, patiently, without rush or pressure. On their first anniversary, Cole took Amina back to that old bus station. Snow fell softly, just like the night they met. "I think about that night often," Amina said, holding his hand. "How scared I was, how cold." "I think about it too," Cole replied. "How I almost drove past. How I'd have missed everything if I had." "But you didn't," she said, smiling up at him. "You stopped. Best decision I ever made." They stood together in the falling snow, wrapped in each other's warmth. The station looked the same, still old and worn. But everything else had changed. Two separate lives had become one shared story. A story built on kindness, trust, and love that grew stronger with each passing season. Years later, when people asked how they met, Cole and Amina would smile and share the simple truth. He found her freezing at a lonely station. He offered his coat and a ride to safety. She offered her trust and her heart. And from that cold winter night grew something beautiful, something lasting, something that proved love often begins with one person choosing kindness when it matters most. Their legend wasn't about wealth or grand gestures. It was about seeing someone in need and stopping, about gentle respect and patient care, about two people finding home in each other when they'd stopped looking for it. That was the real story. That was what made it legendary. Not how it started, but how it continued, day after day, with quiet devotion and love that never faded. Comment below, what touched your heart most about Cole and Amina's story?